that when you have made a little and a small difference to a life somewhere or whatever and etc., it gives you such a high.
Inflation on education is about 12 to 13, 14%. So the cost of education is spiraling. The affordability is not going up as fast as the cost is going up.
Tell us a little bit about the courses which you feel have a greater potential and some of the courses which you feel have lost the sheen over the period of years.
We are arguably the only team across the country which has the most experience in doing lending in India. Operationally, it's a nightmare. Instead of getting worried about what AI would do to my job, I think making friends with it and understanding it and learning it quicker than others.
You can just give me an answer in one line, one word, whatever that you prefer. When I say online examinations, online assessment, what comes to your mind? So, Kuhoo is a very, very interesting name. Would just love to hear a little as to how, it may be part of the podcast also, but just love to hear how you came up with the name.
When I was planning to start this company about 3 years back, about 3.5 years back, a few things I did, right? I thought of a few things. I sat down, I said, let me first take a break and understand why am I doing it this time? Because student loan I'm doing actually for the third time in last about 15, 16 years. So I said, what is different this time? Correct? So few things that I identified that these are contextually different thing, and these are the things which I want to do differently, right? So that happened. One of the things was that, so what is going to be the name of this company? Okay. And I said, so I decided a few parameters that whatever is the name, it needs to check these 4-5 boxes. So I said, look, name has to be smaller, not more than 4-5 letters. Correct. So that's first parameter. Second parameter, which made it more difficult, I said, I don't want to change the spelling of the name, because smaller names, it is very difficult to get the URL or website. Okay.
Correct.
You need to change the spelling and all that, right? I didn't want to do that. Why? Because of the third reason. I wanted the name to mean something, and it should align with the purpose of the company, right? So that was the third reason. Fourth reason was I did not want anything to do with finance, credit in the name. The company name can have that, but in the name, it should not be cred or incred or something, right? So, because there are some very good companies, but the customer segment that we are dealing with, they get kind of intimidated with finance because they're young people, they're students, right? So, and fourth, we said that it has to have a ring around it, that it has to be easy to remember and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
These are 4, 5, 6 conditions that I said.
Understood.
So we started doing this searches. My wife was supposed to find out names with some meanings which align with our purpose. My daughter, who was studying in, I think, 10th, 11th at that time, or 12th, I think, she was supposed to find out whether URL is available, what does it cost, and so on and so forth. Okay. And I was supposed to decide. We kind of went through about 150 odd names, right? My wife is very spiritually inclined, so she's read a lot of scriptures and all that. Correct?
Oh, very nice.
So she would come up with names and all of those things. So what are the purpose of this company? The purpose of this company is that we are giving a product to our borrowers, which is student, something which will help them improve the quality of life, get wealth, success, and prosperity, right? That's the purpose of the company. That once they take the product, they will acquire education, and which will give them wealth, success, and prosperity, right? That is the purpose of
Correct.
them. So went
Correct.
through and we listed down around 150 names with URLs and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. And
Mm-hmm.
then we realized that a lot of them are either not meeting either or conditions, right? So one day
Okay.
she came up and said that I think I've got what you're looking for, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, tell me. So it's two reasons. Uh, the name is Kuhoo, and there are two meanings to Kuhoo. One is it's sweet voice of cuckoo, koel kade, right?
Correct.
Though,
Correct. Correct.
and in Indian scriptures, it is mentioned that when koel sings and you hear koel speak singing, it is supposed to
Mm-hmm.
bring wealth, success, prosperity. But that's one reason. But that's not the reason we
Okay.
decided this name. The
Okay.
reason we decided this name for was Kuhoo is
Uh-huh.
which I didn't know. Kuhoo is also one of the names of goddess Lakshmi, actually. Correct?
Okay. Very
So,
nice.
so our raw material is what? Our raw material is Lakshmi, right?
Correct.
We
Correct.
take
Correct.
money,
Of course.
we process it,
Correct.
and our final product, it's Lakshmi. We give it to students.
Correct.
When we give
Correct.
Lakshmi
Correct.
to the students, they get
Yes.
Saraswati with that, right?
Correct. Correct.
And it is said that Lakshmi stays only where Saraswati is there. Otherwise, chal achal Lakshmi ka concept hai, right? If you don't have Saraswati in a place, you might get Lakshmi, but it will not stay because
It
Lakshmi
will not
stays where
stay.
Saraswati is. Correct?
Correct.
That's called achal Lakshmi, right? And chal Lakshmi is aayegi or chale jayegi. So we are
Mm-hmm.
giving a product to the borrower, our customer, which will
Mm-hmm.
allow him or her to get Saraswati, which will help him or her to get Lakshmi for wealth, success, and prosperity. That's the long story about the name.
No, but it's amazing, Prashant. I mean, one, the name caught my attention very easily, and now that you've explained, and so of course, it. I think this is a far, far better name for Twitter than X. That
Correct.
why? so, so if he
Correct.
really wanted to change something, I think he should have come to the Indian scriptures to find a better name than X, where I'm sure that the other name of goddess Lakshmi is Kuhu, is what is something that would have attracted him as well. That
Correct.
Lakshmi
Correct.
and then
Correct.
Kuhu, which is sweet voice and all of that. I think it makes a lot of sense. But it's amazing, Prashant, and I really love your story about something like this. And that's what we are really focusing on, Prashant. That we get to understand. So this is not going to be a very, very serious podcast, right? We are not
Okay.
focusing on just very big technicalities. Of course, we will cover all of those as well because there will be a lot of people who will be interested to hear how to access and etc. But we want to make this about you as well, about your journey and about how you got here and what is it that you're doing, something which is going to help out people and etc. So, Prashant, let me just kick off this after a wonderful name that you have got and has such deep meaning. Tell me about that. So you are addressing a lot of students, right? A lot of youngsters, and so a lot of youngsters will be interested to know a journey from a student to a successful entrepreneur, right? That
Yeah.
a lot of students have that aspiration today. That yes, they want to complete their studies, they want to get into a good job, hopefully become an entrepreneur. So, and you have done it all, right? So, and now that you are engaged with a lot of youngsters and etc., I think that would be a very interesting story to hear. That your student days to where you are today. Would just love to hear that.
Yeah, and uh, it's a very good question, though. Uh, a very loaded question too, but I'd like to answer with as much uh, uh, whatever you want to whatever can help the young generations of student, if they can
Yes.
take anything out of it, I'd be happy. But um, I belong to a small town in MP called Indore,
Mhm.
right?
Ah,
and
it's not a small town, it's a beautiful town
it's
and
the
has has been the best city of the country for the
cleanest.
longest time now, cleanest city. So that's the best for us, right? Being clean
Yes,
is
yes,
best. Yeah, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
So there in our generation, which is according to me was the generation of scarcity. Now the generation is generation of abundance. So we did not have too many things to choose from, whether it was material things or education, both actually.
Correct,
The
correct.
number of courses, the good students were told either to become a doctor or an engineer, or then only you will be taken as seriously, and you will be taken as a good student. And those are the
Yes,
only opportunities that will get you somewhere in life.
correct.
But and also the lack information asymmetry, the A supply was very limited at the number of courses, colleges, universities, so on and so forth. But more importantly, even those were available for a tier. At that time, Indore was a tier 3, tier 4 town, and now it's become much bigger, like you said. But at that time, the information asymmetry, this was pre-internet days, right? So information asymmetry of what is available, what you don't know it is available for you as a career option, right? Actually, that according to me killed a lot of potentially talented students, and also with their
Mm,
parents, right?
mm,
They just
correct.
didn't know they could do something correct, which will improve their life. Um, so what I did was, what during that time with anybody else would do is, uh, not oblivious uh, to what's happening around the world, decided to start playing cricket, and that still continues to be the religion, though the new generation is more drawn towards soccer and basketball and NBA and stuff like that. But during our time, cricket was a religion, and I started playing, and I was a decent student, but during that time, I wanted to ensure that my studies, it was a reverse thing. I didn't want the studies to hamper with my cricket. So I chose not to appear for medical and engineering exams. Otherwise, I would have had to leave cricket.
Lucky
But
you.
which happened anyway eventually, because I had to start working, came from humble background, right? So,
Yes.
but the learning there was, and which I we try and tell our daughter is uh, that information asymmetry is not a problem now. Application or education is availability or accessibility of education or quality education is not a problem. At that time, it was right. It was less about that whether you will be able to get in there or not. It was more about you don't know where to get in, right? That at least has is changed quite a bit, and I think that's a big leap for the new generation. If somebody is initiated in this generation, the opportunity or access is not a problem at all right now. So even
Correct.
for the people who do not have resources, so to say, economic resources and all that, the information asymmetry is completely decimated by internet. So I think that fundamental change has completely transformed millions of students' life today.
Mm,
However, there my suggestion to and learning from my own journey is that now your your success or failure is much more in your control than in the control of the variables of the context.
mm,
You can, if you are, as I said, at the cost of repeating, that if you are initiated, you can apply, you can use the resources which are available to you. I think you can genuinely change not only your life, your society's life and all that. So I
correct.
think that
Correct.
was how my journey started. I started playing cricket, and then because uh, I had to start working, I was very young when I got graduated. That was because I was about 18, because at that time 3 years graduation was there, and 12th was not there. I used to study in SSC medium, right? So
Okay.
SSC did not have did not have the 10th plus 2 system. Mine was actually
Okay.
the last batch of 11th was the metric or higher education or
Understood.
secondary education, right? And after that, you get
Hmm.
into a college 3 years. So as
Okay.
anyways, we did about I think 14 years of study instead of 15 in India, and US now they insist on 16 years of study. But so you were out about 18 years, and then you start working. So I started working pretty early in my life, and right from beginning, as most people and most students think कि अपना कुछ करना है, so that I think that feeling was already there, though your parents would come back and tell you that अच्छी नौकरी कर लो, right? But you would continue to believe that you can do apna dhanda, right? So
Correct.
that, but didn't know how to do it, what to do. You don't have capital, and at that time, the only thing you will hear when you see अपना कुछ करना है कि पैसे कहाँ हैं, right? That is what people will come and say, because to start
Correct.
business you
Correct.
need capital. That was the thing. So, and you don't have capital. So you
Correct.
shut up and start working somewhere and get into a job and stuff like that. I think that killed
Correct.
a lot of entrepreneurial potential in India, because
Yes.
it
Yes.
was it was capital intensive to start a business, not idea intensive. It is today. So
Correct.
today, what is
Correct.
different is today uh, the entrepreneurship opportunity is more idea intensive, creativity intensive
Hmm.
than capital
Correct.
intensive. If you have good
Yes.
idea and good idea about how to start, what to start, then capital is available, right? So at that time,
Correct.
that was different. That's how my journey started. I went through working in 5 6 industries. I started my career with pharma as medical representative, worked there for a
Hmm.
few years, then changed my industry,
Hmm.
worked with FMCG for some time. Then telecom was happening at that time, 96. So I worked
Hmm.
with telecom for a couple of years, and then went to do work with Canon India for 5 years. And then I
Hmm.
joined my BFSI. So from pharma to FMCG to telecom to office automation and then to banking, the entire gamut of thing. What it did though for me, and I don't recommend that to a lot of people, but in the hindsight, which is always 2020, it does give you some rounding of experience into different industry, and you can actually do cross pollination of ideas. So
Correct.
rather than becoming a specialist in one industry, I kind of by default, not so much by design, I became a kind of a generalist in business, in
Correct.
understanding how businesses run in different industries. And I guess that was my priming of becoming an entrepreneur later part of life, right? And then after
Correct.
ICICI Bank, I got also an opportunity to work with, join the team of India's two people who were trying to set up India's first private student loan company. So that was my
Hmm.
first stint with a true entrepreneurial journey. This was 2007. So here I would take a pause and tell you the context of your question, that a lot
Hmm.
of opportunities like this will come to students' ways, right? That
Hmm. Hmm.
that this company did not have a name. The company did not exist. I was working in ICICI Bank, which was a very, very large bank, and it was reputed. I was
Correct.
working in a
Correct.
position. I was doing well in my career, right? But
Correct.
this opportunity came, and a lot of people would not have taken this opportunity because there's no name, there's no company, there's no money,
Correct.
there's no brand,
Correct.
right? There's no
Correct. Correct.
certainty of career. So that decision of taking that risk, I think, is very important. Take the plunge. Don't worry about failures. Uh, this
Hmm.
generation is more privileged, right? Even
Correct.
according to me, and this is what I've learned in my entrepreneurship journey, is that, and I love when I hire people and I see in the resume that somebody started business and failed. I love that person because a failed entrepreneur, according to me, is a better than a professional who is incrementally grown over the period in their lives, right?
Correct.
Because
Correct.
it's shown ability to take risks, it's shown ability for resilience, it's shown that they can take the losses and also
Correct.
move on in life. So
Correct.
those are
Correct.
some of the
Correct.
things which I've learned, and my suggestion to new generation, which a lot of my people right now, out of 150 people, the average age is about 26, 27. A lot of them come to me for these advices that how do
Wow.
we think about our careers now and all that. And I keep telling them that until uh, you explore, by the way, I am not a very strong fan of follow your passion. Uh, uh, you should follow your passion, but also be prudent about it. According to me, first, financial security is important, especially if you're coming from tier 3, 4, 5 town, where
Uh,
where your family is looking up to you to change their fortunes, right? So,
Correct.
so it is important that start becoming financially disciplined and prudent first, and then also so there are a lot of side gigs available right now. So I recommend a lot of people to do side gigs first, then jumping lock, stock and barrel, unless you have such a clarity of idea that you know you are a one in a million idea and nobody has thought about it, and you know exactly how to execute it and all of those things, then you must do it and put everything behind it. But
Correct.
99%, as an entrepreneur, I've learned that 99% of great companies which get built from zero are 99% of them are only incremental innovation on whatever is existing product available or solution available for the customer for that
Understood.
product, right?
Understood.
99%. Only
Correct.
1% of
Correct.
companies like Google will come and change the world, right? Or
Yeah.
that is one in a
Correct.
million. But
Correct.
99% are in the same sector, you're doing incremental innovation. So
Correct.
then
Correct.
it's important to learn and all of those things. So that's how I've lived and understood and learned.
So excellent, Prashant. I mean, along the way, I see that you also gained a lot of, you know, not only knowledge, but actually the wisdom, right? That how are things, what are things. One of the key things that you mentioned about is failures, right? That is something everybody is so scared about. I don't want to fail. One is that I don't want to fail. And if I did fail, I don't want to talk about it, right? That's something that I would really like you to talk about, giving your own example of where you failed, right? But you learned from it and you picked yourself up. That would be interesting to hear about your some of the failures.
Look, it started with and that's why I recommend everybody to do that, right? I recommend every career professional or anybody in life, one must play some sport, whatever sport they are playing. Because dealing with failures, nothing teaches you better in dealing with failure, keeping your still chin up and hugging your opponents and cheering and becoming other than sports actually. And that I learned through cricket, where I was passionate about it. I thought at some point of time this is going to be my life, and if this doesn't happen, I don't know whether I'll survive or not. Although everybody goes through it, right? Your personal crash. But when you lose, what sports does is to teach you in a very, very good way how to deal with failures, how to deal with losses, and still smile, and then think about how are you going to win next match, right? Or how are you going to win next time. So my first recommendation is more than the career. I think as life, everybody should try and do one hobby, one this thing which is other than, and continue to pursue that. And sports, nothing like it. It builds your physical uh, health and well-being and all that, but also and mental health well-being also. But how I learned is also when you're back to the walls, and responsibility also teaches you a lot of things, right? If you are only responsible for yourself, it may be a little more difficult, and you have a propensity to either pick yourself up and start fighting again. But people who have larger responsibility of family actually will have more propensity to get up and do it, because they're not doing it for themselves only. They know there's somebody else who's responsible and dependent on you, right? I think that is a nuanced difference in today's generation, because they are more or less responsible for their own life. And it is difficult to motivate yourself to, when you are hit in the punched, as Mike Tyson very famously said, right? You have a plan and then you get punched in the face, right? So when you get punched in the face, then it helps if you have taken or assumed responsibility not only of yourself but your family and something. You assume, even if you, let's say, if you come from a well-to-do family, it is important to then assume responsibility that if because my family has helped me so far, right? While my parents can do well without me being successful, they don't depend on me, but I'm sure they will be more proud if I pick myself up again and fight harder and become successful. So one of the things which I've learned the hard way is, I think constraints build a bigger character, and which helps you fight larger battles and wade through the challenges of losses and all
So
of those
tell us
things.
how you learned that. So if there's an incident or there's a specific failure that you would like to talk about, which actually gave you that insight.
I think a lot of them actually. So
Yes, sure.
when I quit ICICI Bank and decided to do the first quasi entrepreneurial stint of mine through India's first student loan company, and there was no money, there was no company, there no, and we were supposed to do it together, and a few people, couple of them, and when we started the journey, we were very happy, we were very passionate. We got an investor and we started building that company. And for about 14, 15 months, we did a lot of hard work, like any other startup gang will do. About 3, 4 of us would go and to different colleges and understand what the pain points, write everything down, do market research, sleep there, all of those things happen, right? And you come back and build the product. You think this product will work, this will solve a bigger problem, and I'll be able to build a commercial business around it. That's how companies get built. You did that, and 14, 15 months later, you give you start launching that product and you start giving those loans. And suddenly, out of nowhere, the world goes into a tizzy with financial crisis. One of the biggest financial crises in 100 years hit this industry, or across the globe. The 2008 financial crisis. The company was started in 2007, right? And suddenly everything which was looking fantastic and euphoric, and you thought you were going to change the world now because you built something with passion and diligence and care and all of those things, and people need it and the market needs it. And suddenly everything which you thought was right now seems absolutely wrong. And you don't know whether the company will survive now in next few months, right? And that would start bringing in self-doubt, and a lot of people will come back and tell you that, look, I told you you were doing great and your career was going very, very good, and you did this stupid decision, right? So at that time, it is important to dig your heels, to be true, and not give up, right? I think that was one of the biggest learning that I've got. I had the opportunity to go back to my corporate career. I would have, because of my track record, I would have got a good job. But I decided that once I've taken this responsibility, it is my response, because we had hired people, right?
Yes, yes,
So it's
yes.
not only the earlier thing I said, right? When you feel
Correct.
responsible for others as well, then you get better motivation to do something, right? So
Correct.
so here also we had hired people, and a lot of those people we had hired actually came from lower middle class families, and their only job,
Yes.
the family's livelihood depended on this job. So you
Correct.
could have very well gone up and joined some other career or job and gone ahead in your life. But then I
Correct.
felt responsible and said, look, we need to turn it around. Whatever is the situation, dug my heels and went for a few months, got up every morning, rolled my sleeves, pick up the bag and knock every door possible to get raise money again, and so on and so forth. So
Excellent.
one of the things, and now it turns out that company is a $2.5 billion company today. That company which we built,
Wow.
right?
Oh.
So that wouldn't have happened if we had thought, no, this is all over now. Let's get back to our lives, a normal life, so to say, quote unquote. So that is, so what I've learned is resilience, uh,
Correct.
and tenacity and mental resilience is going to be not only entrepreneurship but also in life. Actually, chips are going to be
Yes.
down more than once.
Yes.
Life is
Yes.
never,
Yes.
only life which is very straight line is no
Correct.
life, because on the monitor also when there is straight line you've died. So life is
Correct.
never going to be straight line. Whatever your situation today, it is going to change. But
Yes.
build the mental resilience. If your values are right, if you think that what you are doing is absolutely right, I think time will change. Now it has changed, it will change again. But don't change the discipline of what doing. Follow the process. If you think it is right, may change it, iterate it, but do not lose confidence. Have mental resilience and tenacity to wait through it, and you will see it quickly. As quickly as it turned around, it will again turn around.
No, I think that's a brilliant one, Prashant. And I really love the analogy that you just gave. That is, if on the monitor it's a straight line, you are a dead person, right? So you're alive only when there are ups and downs, right? That that is what life is all about. That there are very, of course, tough downs, but you enjoy the ups only when you have seen those downs. But if your life was a complete
Absolutely, very
straight,
well said.
and we have seen many such examples that and it is I mean, it's a completely out of context thing, but the royal family of England, is basically considered as that they actually literally live a very, very straight line, right? Because they don't have to struggle for money, nothing at all, and etc. And that is the reason why, despite the fact that outside everybody feels that they have lots of money, so many palaces, so many, the entire world is looking at them, and etc. But inside, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen the series on Netflix called The Crown, but it does talk about, how they are kind of living a very dead life because, they never had to struggle in life. So struggles actually make your life extremely enriched and etc. So I really love your example, Prashant. I think I will quote it at many places
Wait,
if
I
you
have
allow me
one.
to do that.
Yeah, no, just rounding off that. Look, I keep telling my team and the younger people I meet every day now, or the students also. Our customer segment is every set batch is a younger per batch than the earlier batch, and that's how we deal
Correct.
with younger people, right? I keep telling them that, and my own people, that you understand today, in today's world, knowledge and IQ is commoditized.
Correct.
With AI, knowledge is
Correct.
completely commoditized, right?
Yes.
If knowledge is not your differentiator, then what is the differentiator? The differentiator
Hmm.
is how complex problem you're solving, how effectively you're solving. So if you are in a job and you feel pressure because you're some things you can't do, or because of some reason, or somebody is not helping you or something, and you feel pressured and you think, oh, how will I now deliver and all that. If you are complaining about that problem, basically you're complaining about your job for which you're getting money. There is a problem, that's why you have a job. If there was no problem,
Yes.
you are not required, right? So
Correct.
when
Correct.
people
Absolutely.
complain about a problem, they're saying, I need this solution done. No,
Correct.
if this solution is done by somebody else, then you are not required.
Correct.
There is a
Correct.
problem, right? The more problem you solve, the more premium you can command from the market, either in the form of salary or bonus or
Correct.
incentive or anything, right? The
Correct.
more complex problem, that's how this is happening. So according to me, seeing every problem as an opportunity is a great attitude. You should
Yes,
actually
yes.
go on your knees every night and say to God, thank you. You gave me 4 problems to solve today. That means I'm relevant, right?
Correct, correct. Brilliant, Prashant. I mean, you have some very interesting perspective to things, and some things, especially that people and especially the youngsters get bogged down by. And I generally do hear that, I'm going through a burnout and there's too much and etc. So a similar kind of a example is what I give them. That when you're talking about a burnout, really, so in my employment days when I used to be with Z, so I used to work very closely with Subhash Chandra, the chairman, and he would actually give me the responsibility of one department. And then, sometime later, there would be another note which would come out that in addition to whatever Abhijit was handling earlier, he will also handle this. Then he would come out, and most of those departments were actually dirty departments, right? Where there was something wrong which was happening and etc. or whatever, and then I had to change that, I had to correct that, I had to make them perform again and etc. So people used to say that you are the laundryman of Subhash Chandra, where you have to, and I used to tell them that's what exactly take pride in, that he trusts me so much that, all the dirty departments where there was possibly corruption or there was, things were not going right and etc. Those were the ones which were the most dirty departments which were handed out to me. So it's a great perspective, Prashant, and that is something that, I mean, if the youngsters of today also start realizing, they would look at their working life and their life in general very differently. And I really think that's brilliant. Coming to the next thing, Prashant, one side is failures, right? The other side is that you also would have achieved something, done something, or something happened to you, which you take pride in, right? That I really take pride in. This is something that I achieved or I did, and it need not be just professional, because a life is not just about the professional part of it and etc., right? It is a wholesome mix of both personal and professional. What are those incidents or things which may have happened in your life which you truly take pride in?
Yeah, it starts with my because I used to play cricket, and a lot of people do play a lot of sports during their formative years, and a lot of them don't. But the people who play formative years, some sport or some physical fitness, uh, invariably, if they leave that sport or activity, invariably they don't follow through with some other fitness. What I'm very proud of, which has served me very well through in my professional life as well, is that I've been able to maintain a very disciplined physical fitness regime for years now. Very. So
Excellent.
I get up
Yes.
every day at 4:30 in the morning. It's been happening for years
Wow.
now. And I do my
Mhm.
meditation, I go to gym, I do swim, I run marathons and all that. And I do that 6 days a day, 6 days a week. And this does not change regardless of what my business about work or life or everything is there. So one thing which I'm very proud of and which has served me really well, because during stress situations, uh, if you're physically fit, uh, you're mentally fit. If you're mentally fit, you will be able to handle any kind of stress that is thrown to you by life, right? So the one thing I'm very proud of, and I see that a lot of people around me get inspired, and I feel humbled by it. But they feel inspired that despite the busy schedule or anything, you've been able to very strictly maintain a physical fitness regime. So I recommend this to everybody, because I think very few youngsters realize the quality of life depends on the quality of your fitness. Nothing else.
Absolutely.
Quality of life
Absolutely
does
right.
not depend
Yes.
on the money you have in the bank or the assets
Correct.
you have.
Correct.
Nothing actually. And
Correct.
especially for the youngster, the quality of life after 35, 40 years, till 35, 40 years, whatever your lifestyle, your body will be able to take it. But if you're
Correct.
not doing today, look, every decision which you are taking today is shaping your next 10 years. Every decision,
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
your
Yes.
decision is not to work out today, is shaping your health for next 10 years. So
Correct.
my first of the very important thing I recommend everybody is please, please, please do physical fitness as your priority. Take
Yes.
out about, there are 24 hours, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of everything else. In that everything else, it is very easy to find 1 hour. It is only the question of priority. If you ask for a room full of people, do you want to be fit? Everybody says yes. Do you know you need to do something every day for that fitness? Everybody says yes. Are you doing anything about it every day? 10% people will say. So it's not the intent. Everybody wants to be.
Hmm.
It's not the knowledge.
Correct.
Everybody knows that I need to do something about it, right? But
Yes.
it's the application and commitment, right? So very important. I'm
Correct.
very proud of that.
Correct. Correct.
Manage.
No,
Second thing
that's
which I'm,
no, no, go ahead, Prashant. Yes.
no, sorry, please go ahead. You were saying something.
No, 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 no. So I thought that you had finished your point. So I was just continuing with that point that you made actually, because I'm also extremely similar like you, right? Sports has been my lifeline forever, right? And I can completely relate with what you are saying. In fact, I used to be in Delhi before I came to Mumbai, and I came to Mumbai in 1996. And in Delhi, we used to stay in the Delhi University campus because my dad was a professor there, and we had access to huge grounds, stadiums, and whatever, and etc. And we used to play cricket, football, everything, and etc. 96, I come to Mumbai, and Mumbai had nothing to do with sports, right? There was no grounds, there was nothing available, and you can't imagine the frustration and the depression that I went through. That with no sports, suddenly, it became so challenging. But fortunately, gradually, Mumbai also started. I mean, my depression was also because of the food, which was really bad in Mumbai. That's another story. But sports was one key area because there was no physical activity. But now there are at least smaller turfs which are available and etc. And like you rightly said, that I continue to swim. I play squash. I continue to play football every week on Sundays and etc. And that what keeps you going, right? That's the exciting part, that work is one thing, but that game which you have every day, and a nice shot that you would have hit, a nice kick, a small goal that you hit, or you defended something well, that stays in your mind,
Right?
that oh
Price-
etc.
Priceless.
So
You can't put a
yes,
value to
yes,
it.
you can't put a
Absolutely.
value to it, and nobody who is not involved in it will also not even realize what pleasure
Correct.
that
They don't
little
understand.
moment gave you, and it just brings in that little happiness on your face. I have seen that
Correct.
people who
Correct.
are physically active, are into sports and etc. You can see that happiness on their face, right? That they are
Correct. Correct.
very happy people in general, because not only that they
In
learn a
general,
lot about life through sports and etc. But just because there's an adrenaline rush, every day for some reason or the other, that you just have a happy face all the time. So I completely relate with that, Prashant, and it's a brilliant thing. And I really hope that a lot of people actually continue to believe that and don't give up something like that. Because I've seen a lot of stories of that also. People used to play but have given up for some reason, work pressure, this pressure, or whatever, and etc. But if somehow you're able to continue with it, it makes a big difference to leading a happy life. And that's what in the end matters. So that's what I wanted to
other
mention.
thing,
But you were saying something else also. Yeah, would love to hear
yeah,
that.
I say other thing which I'm a little proud of, and help me sleep peacefully every evening is that over the years I've always, despite whatever constraint or challenges I may have faced during that time, ups and downs in life, I've always maintained the attitude of abundance. I've always believed that this is a temporary phase. There's a lot of abundance in the market. There's no competition, so to say. That I think is inherent DNA coding that I have, maybe my genetic coding or my parents or my family, the value system or whatever. But and what that has done to me is that I've been able to not cut corners. I've been able to to always look for helping people, even when you are under constraint or you have very little. Uh,
Right.
Over the period, what I'm very, very proud of is that I still get people who worked with me about 20 years back, and they come and say every year, and they say that my life is today what is it is because of you only, right? And you helped me get there. I've learned a lot, and I get that, and it's very fulfilling actually. So I think what I'm proud of is that keeping that attitude of abundance, that know what you are, what you will get what you deserve. There's nobody who can take it. As long as you are
That's right.
applying
Yes.
yourself, you're working hard, you're being honest and
Yes.
sincere, I don't think anybody can take your share. If it's not your
Correct.
share, it is not meant for you, it will not happen, right? So I think
Correct.
that attitude of gratitude is also what I feel very good about. I think that's second thing that I'm very proud of. And
No,
the
that's
third thing which
the
I'm very
oh
proud of,
yeah. Yes. Yes,
third thing
Prashant,
which
go
I'm
ahead.
very proud is the business that I'm doing. This is one business uh, which is a commercially, I'm run a commercially profitable entity, right? And because that, but it is a business which which helps me touch lives. There are
Mm.
there is a couple few years back, I got a call from late in the night from America, and I saw my mobile. I was sleeping. I got up and I picked the call because it's showing the American number, right? So codes and
Mm,
all.
mm,
I
mm,
picked the
mm.
call. It was, I think, 12:30 in the night, and some a girl was speaking from the other side. She said, "Is this Mr. Prashant Bhosle speaking?" I said, "Yes." Can I talk to? I know this is very late. I know it is 12 past 12, but I must speak to you. It is very important. I'm sorry and all. I said, "Do I know you?" Said, "You may not remember me, but you had spoken to me about 2, 3 years back, and I want to talk about it." And I said, "Please tell me, how can I help? Is that something I can do? Or yeah, are you in trouble?" She said, "No, I come from a very humble background, and in Chennai, my parents are not well to do. My father is a construction laborer, and my mother is a house help. But I was a good kid, and I studied hard, and so I got some donations and all those things. So I did my engineering. Then my friends were applying to GRE, and I applied to, and I got a good grades and all that. And then we applied to some college, and we got it. So suddenly, my life, which could have changed actually, was at striking distance. I saw it happening, right? And then I saw where will the money come from. So I went to a lot of banks, and it was very difficult because we were living in a shanty, and we did not have a collateral, or we did not have money to pay and all that.
Correct.
So I tried
Correct.
very hard. I tried very hard, but I couldn't get it after a lot of efforts in about month and a half. And then I was about my visa date was there, and I was about to give up my dreams. And um, but somebody gave me your number, and you were setting up my previous company, right? Just setting up a vertical there of student loan. So that you somebody gave me that you may want to talk to him last resort if they're setting
Mm,
up. And
mm, mm, mm.
she apparently spoke to me. I spoke to her for, according to her, I remember vaguely, but there's a lot of years back. But she said, you spoke to me for 20 minutes, and I got my sanction letter without any collateral for about 40 lakh rupees, on which I got my visa. I came here.
Mm,
I
mm.
stopped the university. Uh, and she got and completed the 22 months course in, I think, 17, 18 months, topped the university. She got a
Wow.
job from a multinational for $150,000. $30,000 is
Wow.
signing
Wow.
bonus, and some, right? Now, that's
Yes.
not the story. The story is here, right? So I said, okay, great. I'm very happy. Thank you so much for sharing and all that.
Uh,
And then she said, look, That's not the reason I called you. I called you for a very specific reason today. So I said, what? That today is I paid that loan back in 8 months and all of those things happened. I worked and worked hard in last 1 year or so. But today I'm debt free now. That loan is also paid.
Correct.
But today is a very special day. I have said today I have bought a small apartment for my parents in Chennai. And that
Wow.
and that
Wow.
and then she started. She said that wouldn't have happened if
Without.
we had not spoken 20 minutes. So
Correct.
I'm very proud, right? So proud that you're doing.
Correct, correct. No, that's brilliant, Prashant. And somehow I do feel that your sensibilities and the way that you have been narrating some of your pride moments and etc. are quite similar to what I have also felt in life, right? So, like the second one which you talked about, that about competition, right, and the sense of abundance that is there, and there is something for everybody. You really don't, that has been my mantra as well, that many times that you talk to people and you talk to especially these infamous community of investors, right, and they say that, oh, have you done a competition analysis and etc. So I said, my whole thing is that why should I really worry about competition, right? I have to really focus on my own product, my own offering, which I have, whatever that I'm giving to customers. If that product is good enough, is makes sense for the customers and etc., then whether there is competition or no competition, even if I have no competition and I come across with a bad product, who is going to buy it, right? But if there is going to be huge amount of competition, but I come up with a great product, right? Why would they not want to buy it, right? So I really got to focus more inward than outward, right? So that is one very interesting part of the competition that you really talked about. Completely gel with that, and I have similar kind of viewpoints on that. The other which you talked about, this touching lives, right? Exactly. Those are the things which give you the high, right? So I also remember, I'll just use this, because sharing with you, because you get touched by lives so often, that when I used to, I was setting up this whole global operations of Z, right? So that was mid 90s and late 90s and etc., when we were launching in for the first time Indian channels in various countries, so the US and UK and many other countries. So we launched in almost like 45 odd countries in 3 years time. And the specific thing was that when we used to launch in a particular country like US or whatever, then we used to go to these Indian association events, and we used to talk about that, oh, Z is coming and Z is now launching on this date or whatever, and etc. And it was the month of June in US, and when we were launching, there were these Indians, especially middle-aged and beyond, and etc., who used to come and hug me, right? And they would say that, Abhijit, you don't know what you have done for us, right? So these were the people who were living outside their motherland for so long, right? But just getting a live feed of ZTV in their country made them feel connected back to their country and so close to their country and etc., that that they felt that they have started living once again, right? That
Fantastic.
that they are now connected and whatever. So this touching lives is so brilliant. I mean, what a feeling it gives you, right? That when you have made a little and a small difference to a life somewhere or whatever and etc., it gives you such a high. And like you said, that is that high on the monitor, right? And not the money part, and etc., which is there. So, no, excellent, Prashant, and I really love having this conversation with you. Now, looking at this, the way that you touched life and that you're providing these student loans and etc., would love to talk a little bit about Kuhoo now, right? Where, how do you go about it? Would love to understand that, what is your business model? How do you give these loans to children so that, a lot of students across who are going to hear this can benefit from that? What is the criteria for accessing these loans? Is it only for international education, or is it also for domestic education and etc.? What is it that you're focusing on? How can one approach you and stuff like that? So just a little bit about Kuhoo would be exciting to know.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. This is good. So the vision is to uh, make Indian middle class students completely Atmanirbhar. And I'm specifically using that term because
Yes,
uh,
I saw that on
cul-
your website, so I really like that.
culturally, uh, Indian families, despite their, um we are 2,300 to 2,400 per capita income, and if you remove the top layer out of that, the per capita income drops drastically to $700 to $1,000 and for in India, right? For large chunk of Indians. Uh, while the cost of education is spiraling. So your inflation, the country is, let's say, 5.5, 6%, but the cost of so inflation on education is about 12 to 13, 14%. So the cost of education is spiraling. The affordability is not going up as fast as the cost is going up for education, at least. So this jaw is increasing, right? So the money for Indian middle class students, if they need to access high quality colleges and universities and courses, then invariably those courses will cost much higher than what it used to cost about a few years back or a decade back. A classic example is IIM Ahmedabad course in 2007 used to cost about 3.5 lakh rupees for 2 years. Now it's 35 lakh rupees for 2 years. So the cost of inflation, the cost of education is rising, and affordability of family is not rising as fast. So that gives us the reason to exist. Now that you may ask that there are 100 plus banks in India, what are they doing? So the challenge with this asset class in education is it is the most underpenetrated segment across loans, and for the right reasons. In 2007, when I was doing the first private student loan company, India had about 12,000 odd colleges, about 550, or to be precise, I think 564 odd universities in 2007, right? As we speak today, there are more than 50,000 colleges today, up from 12,000 in 2007. There are 50,000 colleges in India, up from 550 universities. There are close to 1,000 universities or more in India.
Correct.
So the supply is quadrupled. So the access problem to certain extent is access to education in different geography is kind of getting a little more addressed than it was earlier. People earlier had to travel hundreds of kilometers and travel to and migrate to different cities just to ensure the kids are getting the right colleges and admission and all that. At least those things are relatively much better today. And there are different education hubs in the country have gone up, um, and the access is solved. However, because the cost, because these most of these universities are private universities, the cost is of course higher because they're providing higher quality of education, they're providing high quality of infrastructure, they're providing higher, and they're not subsidized, correct? So
Mm.
so
Correct.
where will the money come from? And ideally the bank loan should be easier, but the challenge, I'm talking as a banker now, the challenge for banks to lend to this segment is
Mm.
that you need to understand the education sector to be able to do a good job in lending in education. Why?
Correct.
Because you're lending to somebody. This is the only product where you're lending to your borrower, evaluating their potential, not the performance. In all other loans, you are evaluating performance. So you go and take home loans or personal loan, they will ask you what is your salary today
Correct.
and how much is your getting in hand, right? So out of the in hand, you will be able to pay so much
Mm.
EMI and multiply by
Mm.
that is your loan
Correct.
amount, right?
Correct.
It's
Correct.
it's
Correct.
based on the performance. However,
Correct.
students not earning student is going to earn after he or she gets the education, right? So here the challenge or complexity for the lender is you need to practically, in other words, write a horoscope for the student, right? That whether they get a job or not, and that is a function of there are, like I said, 12,000 to 50,000 colleges. There are new colleges which come up, new tens of thousands of new courses which come up. Now, as lending community, it's very difficult for them to understand which new college, new course is accredited, not accredited, whether they have a potential employability problem, even if they get a job, whether they'll get the enough salary or not to pay the money and so on and so forth, right? So it becomes a very specialized lending play, and that's why specialized play not only in India, even abroad, this asset class is driven largely or dominant. Only private players or specialized players are dominant, right? What it does for the students though and parents, what it does is because it is underpenetrated and it becomes difficult for them to get now they can get access to admission and colleges, but they can't get access to finance because not loans are not as easily available, and that's why private players are coming in and so on and so on. So how I set up Kuhoo was to solve this problem because we are arguably the only team across the country which has the most experience in doing lending in India in student loan, right? Because I was part of the founding team of first private company, which has not got sold at few months last year, got sold at $1.5 billion. And in by some estimate is crossed $2 billion of valuation and all that. So that happened and some because of the success of that new private players came in, herd mentality. So then at least about 15, 20 private players available where there were none in 2007. However, that still does not solve the problem of scale in India. There are at least 50 million students in higher education system in India, which is 5 crores. However, it is only 30% of the students who are ideally supposed to be potentially should be there in higher education. Which means what? The gross enrollment ratio in India, which is students between the age group of 18 to 23, how many of them are joining higher education, right? That's called GER, gross enrollment ratio. Every country tracks it, right? That's 30% in India. While it is in developed world, it is about 60, 70, 80%. And one of the reasons, there are a lot of reasons, and all governments have done brilliant job, and that's why there's more colleges have been created so that they can access education. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan at the primary level, you get free education, then you get midday meals, just to encourage people sending their kids to education, and that served really, really well. The supply side problem is resolved, but higher education, because of cost inflation, the finance supply has to increase, and there the lack of information, knowledge of courses and potential employability restricts or limits the existing banks and lenders to lend freely. And that is also evident in the NPA percentage of banks in education loan portfolio. That's very high actually. It's about 6 to 8%. There are about, I think, $14 billion of loan outstanding in India, out of which about $1 billion are in NPAs. But private players have performed and showed that this can be done beautifully and much better way. And their NPAs are only 0.2, 0.3, 0.5% and less than 1%, where there are other banks are actually.
What is the reason for that? What is the reason for such big disparity between
specialized players? Yeah, the same thing. The specialized players understand, they've put a lot of effort in research, which course is good, which is the ranking, what course will get a potential employability. That is exactly what I've done in last about 15, 16 years, right? And that we put it in under lending algorithms and understanding and underwriting and all that. So that helps us actually control risk. Also, operationally, this is the product where the borrower will keep moving for 10 years. Out of the 40 years of career, the first 10 years are most mobile. They will leave a job, get a job, move cities and all that. So operationally, it becomes difficult for lenders to control and track and collect money repayment from them. So even if the customer wants to repay intentionally, operationally it's a nightmare because the process is not actually baked in that problem. So that's also private players have solved through technology, using technology and advanced processes and workflows and all that. That's what Kuhoo does. That's how Kuhoo is India's first tech, mobile and data science driven company, which we have used our experience of 15 years, put it in technology and data science and analytics to deliver better experience and product to the customer. So that's what we do, right? And
Correct.
or how we do it, how do customers approach us? We go to a lot of colleges, universities, courses. We go to a lot of intermediaries who are catering to students, for example, coaching classes, test prep centers, and they partner with us because they are selling their product. Somebody wants to go to, let's say, abroad, they will have to give GRE, GMAT, IELTS, TOEFL, and also on. So that's it. And they prepare for it. So when they prepare for it, they go to test prep centers and counselors and consultants. So partner with them. So we go directly to the colleges. We conduct seminars and webinars about education, finance, planning, or going and visa. And in India, we do a lot of what are the myths around education financing. But a lot of people or parents think that it's very easily available. So you take care of your admission kid and I will worry about it. And suddenly when they start processing, they realize the processes are very cumbersome for the banks because they're not caught up with the new technology and all that. So those are the things which we are trying to solve in Kuhoo. Customer can come to us online, check the eligibility, whether I am eligible for a loan or not, and how much am I eligible for, if at all, right? Then those two fundamental questions, any lender today takes anything between few days to few weeks, even before they start asking for your documents and papers. So those two fundamental questions, and students and parents are generally running against deadlines of fee payment or bahar ja rahe hain to visa and all of those things. And this becomes a little more cumbersome and challenging for them. So those are the things we've tried to solve through advanced technology. We've used risks and governance and for product, and our experience and insights in education domains to build product innovation, process innovation. So the customers can apply to us through going and downloading a student mobile app, Kuhoo student mobile app, either on the Play Store or App Store, or they can go on the website, or they can go on in colleges, they can find us virtually. We have all present on the social medias. We have handles and all that. They can search. So there are multiple ways of reaching out to us. The multiple ways that we are reaching out to students through webinars, seminars, college event fests, so on and so forth. How we underwrite is we take quality of students, their profile, background, academic background. We try and give more importance to students' potential because we have the ability to evaluate it, right? Rather than giving importance to the parents' net worth. So largely, take student loan, you should ideally be taking the student's profile rather than taking parents' profile. So parents can come in as a co-borrower, but you should be banking, and that ability differentiates us with a lot of other people, because then we can give more loans, we can give more amount, also we can give more number of people the loan, because talented people may come from humble backgrounds, invariably they do, right? So and if you are only evaluating parents, or if they're running small business, invariably they will not have documents, income documents, or penalizing students for it, and who's a talented student working hard, getting good grades, it becomes very difficult for them to access. So that's how we solve it.
Understood. Excellent. I mean, that's a brilliant insight, Prashant. You mentioned about that there are certain courses which you feel have higher potential and stuff like that. Could you just list down, tell us a little bit about the courses which you feel have a greater potential, and some of the courses which you feel have lost the sheen over the period of years?
Yeah, so I think some of them are pretty obvious, and everybody seems to be tom-tomming about it, and some of them are also bordering on fad, and but I think some obvious ones are computer science courses continue to be in vogue, and some of them are also analytics courses and some. These are high demand courses, and we believe that will continue to uh, absorb a lot of and require or demand a lot of skills in those areas. The new age, understanding AI and prompt engineering, all that I think is coming up courses. I think one should
Yes.
consider them very seriously, if because as I was saying earlier, IQ is completely and knowledge is commoditized now. So
Correct.
earlier, the smarter people, which was not their contribution, probably genetic coding, they had higher IQ, had
Yes.
shade better uh, differentiated career track record
Correct.
because of the sheer ability to solve problems quicker and all that. But IQ, after AI getting completely democratized, I think IQ and knowledge has become very
Yes.
commoditized.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you in that scenario, what do you do? So I think uh, instead of getting worried about what AI would do to my job, I think making friends with it and understanding and learning it quicker than others and leveraging it to actually build your career. I think those are the courses I think will start getting more tractions over the period of time. Creativity has become even more important now that because AI, as somebody I think I'm forgetting the name, uh, very interestingly said us, is nothing but plagiarize intelligence of the plagiarized collective intelligence, which is not bad actually, which is true. So,
Okay.
so AI is what has happened, right? So if you want
Yes.
to differentiate, you need to be creative about
Creative.
what
Absolutely.
can happen rather than what has happened, right? So I
Correct.
think
Correct.
that creativity has become even more important now, and uh, I think intelligence becoming commoditized. I think it is important to build perspective and resilience and ability to take more risk and try new things has become even more important than ever actually. Earlier there were mechanical jobs and you had so many number of people positions required. So even if you're doing mechanical job, but it's important. Now I think those things will more and more robotics and nanotechnology and AI will continue to replace some of them faster than our collective perception. So I think some of those courses are important courses, I think will help
Great.
students.
So we are almost coming to an end, Prashant, but I would love to, get your views on that. Online education is coming up significantly. Where do you see that going? Online education. So there are now full-fledged online schools which are coming up, full-fledged online universities have got licenses and registrations and etc. There are online courses which people are doing. What do you see? I mean, do you see yourself funding sometime pure online courses as well? Though they may not be very expensive as of now, but they would come an era where you can join a full online university and whatever. So what is the future that you see of online education?
Yeah, so last question first. Do we fund it? We already fund it actually. We fund online education, we fund offline education, we fund Indian education, we fund abroad education, we fund almost everything. But coming back to your first question, where do I see it going? Though it is going through its own consolidation phase, the tech industry and online education industry, it suddenly got uh, exponential growth during COVID because that was the only medium through which the students could learn, and everybody thought that's the new normal. I don't think that is, and that's people seem to be coming back and understanding the importance of physical education. However, that said. My personal view is that online education is here to stay. Online, they are going through edtech industry and online education is going through a problem not because of the industry per se, but because of the mistakes some of the players are doing. They're not putting out quality content. They're not putting out quality delivery mechanism. They're not putting out the quality way to evaluate. They're not putting out the quality of opportunities that they can provide to the students who've taken that course and so on and so forth, right? So those mistakes are not mistakes of the market or whether there is a need or not. I think there is it is here to stay. It is going to grow. And I every time somebody asks me this question, and I do get asked this question a lot because of the area or vantage point that I'm sitting on. Uh, I am reminded of a very interesting, very old quote of Oscar Wilde, and that kind of reflects online education and will continue to reflect it. He says that I have never let my education uh, interfere with my learning. So, online education is something like that, right? If you are initiated, if you can, in fact, I have in my team some of the people who were non-techies and they self-taught themselves on YouTube, and they are some of the best performer techies that I have actually. So that proves that online education is useful if you do it right. You choose the right course, you choose the right medium, and you apply yourself, because online education will require a lot of discipline. The one of the things which physical education and the institutions do to you is they force discipline. However, online education is a lot of self-regulation. So I think online education will continue to grow for people who will realize that upgrading and upskilling is the norm of the day. You cannot get into a job and expect the company to teach you all the time. And you cannot expect to stay and grow in your career if you are not upskilling. So those two are true. If those two are true, then it becomes the onus is on you to continue to. You cannot break every time, leave your job and go to a physical university. So online education is going to grow according to me, and it will become the consolidation every now and then will happen with it happens with every industry. The quality separation events will come. And they will separate good quality institutes with average, and average will come down, and they'll have to find to reinvent themselves. But on a larger scale, online education is the way forward. I think more and more people will realize that my money and time I can utilize, I can multitask. The gig economy that we all used to talk about 10 years back, it started kicking in according to me. So people will do multiple jobs at the same time. Freelancing is becoming even more critical. I have now, out of 150 people that I have, about 20 plus people who are freelancers with me and doing some critical jobs, which I would not have never imagined my previous company. That composition was never there, right? So I think they've all self-taught, they're all self-regulated. I don't need to manage them, not need to put a management structure around. So those are I think, connecting the dots and all.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, we're now just running out of time. One last question before we sign off. And you can just give me an answer in one line, one word, whatever that you prefer. When I say online examinations, online assessment, what comes to your mind?
Integrity.
Okay. That's it. That's all what I wanted to hear. Excellent, Prashant. I mean, I would love to, continue our conversation. May not be online, but I will seek your time sometime. Maybe drop by, have a coffee or whatever, and would love to continue because the field that you are in, we are also in a similar field or a completely different vertical. Would love to hear your views on that, and especially taking off from the last word that you gave me, which is integrity. When you talk about online examinations and etc., that's exactly where I will start my conversation from. But I do look forward to meeting you sometime soon, maybe over the next couple of weeks. I'll check with you. But it was brilliant talking to you, Prashant. I mean,
No,
amazing
likewise.
insights, amazing, life stories that you gave us. Fantastic stuff. It was a
Thank you
real
so
pleasure.
much for coming to me, and I hope this is useful for the people who will watch it. And if they can get something out of it, I'll be honored and look forward to meet you whenever you are. We are in BKC. Just give me a shout,
Yes,
and we'll grab a
I
coffee
will.
together.
Yes,
Thanks a
yes,
lot.
I will. Look forward. Thanks a lot, Prashant. Take care. Bye bye.